best actors have to be a bit difficult. I think the best any person in if you're good at what you do, it's likely because you are extremely passionate about how to do it well. We're making a show that we want to see, and when I say we, I mean everybody on this stage. I don't think any of us are, I mean, yes, we all love Marvel, but we really love movies and stories and characters, and we want to connect to the characters that we see on screen, whether they have a cape or not. And that I mean, to me, what I have fallen in love with in the movies that Kevin and his wonderful team have put out are characters like Trevor Slattery, who is not necessarily a superhero, but is a really interesting character that I fell in love with over the course of the movies that I saw him in, and then fell in love with again when I got to meet Sir Ben and hear all of the rich backstory that he had in his mind about this character that we didn't get to see on screen. So that was the initial inspiration of this show, was just hearing Sir Ben's process of creating this character that, you know, I don't think he created that with any expectation that they would make it into a show one day, but I found it so interesting to hear about Dorothy and his relationship to his mother, and what kind of drives this character was the initial spark that created this show. It wasn't a comic book. It was the humanity that initially created the show.
And in fact, having worked on other projects of Marvel, there was not a run of Wonder Man comics that they were necessarily looking at. So there was a unique opportunity in that this whole show started with this relationship here, and the people who were attracted to that, who got excited about the idea of working with Sir Ben Kingsley and Destin Daniel Cretton, like Yaya, like myself, were all attracted about getting to do something different, and Marvel was really encouraging us to do something different. And I think there was a little hesitancy of like, will the Marvel fans like this? And I think it's been so rewarding to see that they're excited to see something different from Marvel. And when you have this talent up here putting their best into the show, it just comes across and it's just, you know, so compelling.
As a 5-year-old, I was taken to see a film called Never Take a No for an Answer. That's a beautiful title, and it's a very good maxim for life. I believe I've adhered to that maxim for life. And it was about a little Italian orphan boy after the Allied bombing of Italy, whose sole possession and friend was his donkey Violetta. His little donkey was called Violetta. And Violetta had a lovely smile. And this little boy and Violetta traveled all the way to Rome to have the Pope's dispensation to demolish the wall of St. Francis's chamber and have Violetta blessed, because she was very ill. Violetta was, the donkey was dying. And I remember bawling my head off during the film. And I also remember the cinema manager, after the screening, lifting me up above the audience, shouting, "Is little Pepito?" because I looked exactly like the little Italian boy. And as he lifted me up, a voice in my head said, "I could get used to that."
That was a sort of a tidbit that he shared with me, is that, the moments for the actors are the moments between action and cut, and we really respected those moments and appreciated them, and they were precious, but we also allowed them to be, messy and spontaneous at the same time. And it was the entire relationship was really rooted in, appreciating the text, appreciating the journey, and appreciating the craft, and then getting together, sharing that in between action and cut, and then, walking away and figuring out, or living with what we put down, in other words. So it was a beautiful process, building trust.
Yeah, this is gonna sound very like after school special, but really God and my mama. Like I'm just like, I think to be able to have the confidence to do anything, especially set out on a path like being an actor or doing something, you gotta be a little delulu, right? And like I think a healthy amount of delusion. Because, a lot of motherfuckers act one day and they're like, I should be Wonder Man. It's like, actually, no, you're stupid, man. Like, you need to go and train. Get out of my face. But I feel like I come from a mother who's Mexican, who works her ass off. She's a single mother. And I think I've had the blessing of having her and all 9 of my tios and my tias to literally since I was a baby. My tia B, she was like, Mija, you are Queen Latifah.
Yes.
You're famous. Like, my family was like, but not without don't do the work, right? They just have always, ever since I had a thought, I knew that I could do anything I wanted to do, and I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. Like, that's what was told to me. So I think because of that, and my relationship with God, I don't know what my future holds, but I know who holds my future. So I just have to just rest in that. And whenever I audition for something and I don't book it, it's like, you're lost, And then I don't crawl into the fetal position and then, want to jump. But I do get like a little, okay, cool, and then on to the next. Because it's like getting upset working at McDonald's and you have to flip a burger. Like, that's just the job.
I'm with you on the God stuff. I come from more of the low confidence, low self-esteem arena. So anybody that give me a shot, my whole pressure is like, you can't let this one person down because it's the only person that gave you the shot. Like, I spent years, like, on stages. For those who don't know, I come from comedy, I'm a comedian still, Where was y'all yesterday? Either way. I come from comedy, and, like, I remember people telling me, you ain't gonna, get on NBC, what you think, gonna get a sitcom and all this? And then I ran with that, and I'm on Disney now. So, but I feel like when it comes to getting my feet wet, one of the people that gave me a chance and showed me that kind of I was on the wrong path is sitting next to my left, sitting on my left right here, sitting next to me, Carmen Cuba, who brought me in for a drama called The Shot. Yeah. And I ended up testing for it and being on like, I think 7 out of 10 episodes. So I didn't get the role, but I was able to come back for a guest star. And I was like, what the fuck is this guest star? And then that turned into like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. So it changed my life because it showed me the lane that I should kind of be in. Hence the Breaking Bad and all these shows that I thought were comedies the whole time. And they was like, nah, they over here. So this is somebody who put a battery pack in my back and gave me confidence.
In my version of what I do, I love actors, I look at all actors, but I also see sort of again, like you pointed out, I just see everything and everyone as an opportunity. Certainly performers. I was talking to Destin about these, hip-hop dancers. I've gone down like this hip-hop teenage dance competitors rabbit hole, and we didn't have the internet when I first started, so it was just real. I was, on speed dial with the library, the research desks at libraries. Like, I just love finding out about worlds, about people, and then just, to me, the world is my oyster and how I sort of fill it. That's really it, yeah.
So you up late at night watching dudes do like this?
I don't do it at night, but...
I'm a comic. I get home at 3 every night.
I just get excited when I actually do find a way in, and I'm like, this is fun.
This show is fundamentally
in a lot of ways about the struggles of actors, but there's a great moment in the first episode where the director and the showrunner and the producers on the TV show have to solve a problem in the form of Simon and his notes. And I'm curious, like, what's a problem that arose making Wonder Man that you had to kind of get creative and solve on the fly?
Ooh, true tea. That's good, Matt. Very good. It's almost like this is your job or something.
I'm not going to answer that one, but I will say that I come from a comedy background, sitcom, really, and I think there is this attitude in those writers' rooms of like, why is anyone taking any of this seriously? Like, this is a joke. Like, we're actually trying to make people laugh, and the performers shouldn't be worried about it. Just go there and do the line, you know? And I do feel like that was something that sort of indoctrinated into me in the early part of my career. And I'm fascinated and I'm reverential of the people who do take it seriously. And there's that is the dichotomy that I love exploring in the show, is that like, yeah, Simon's a pain in the ass, but Simon's also right. He's been up all night learning about Mayan history, you know, because he wants the episode to be good. And I feel like that is this sort of thing that this is a tough business. And the people who do persevere, it's because you care so much that you put up with a lot of stuff. And that's what I admire about Simon. It's why I'm so excited for him when things work out for him.
I have found throughout my short career that that the best actors have to be a bit difficult. I think the best any person in if you're good at what you do, it's likely because you are extremely passionate about how to do it well. And if you have that passion, it will rub up against people who want to just get through the day. I have found that when certain actors are worried about being difficult, that it actually works against us in terms of putting together a good scene with a great performance. So a big part of my job, particularly with actors who haven't been in the game so long, are trying to empower them to feel like whatever their instincts are, it doesn't matter if we go into overtime, it doesn't matter if you get a new idea, that if it's a good idea, we'll do it.
Thank you.
So for season 2, we could all gonna be difficult. So Yaya, when you come in here and say, "Where is my goddamn pineapple in the noodles?" I know they gonna make them. Go make them, Desi. I'm like, you know what? He's a great artist.
One way, I think all of these actors were difficult, just the right amount. But I remember being on set with X the first time.
Oh no, we can go on to the next one.
And we went through the scene a couple of times, and then X just stopped me and just said, "Can you just let me go? Just let me go." And then I watched her start to just direct herself, and she just started cycling through the scene, and she'd do it like 5 or 6 times, and she'd come up with a new idea, she'd do it again, and we just kept rolling, and all the best jokes came from that. And I was so proud that on her first day she had the passion to just say politely, "Is it okay if I do this? Because I know how to hit this," and all this great stuff bubbled up in that scene.
I think when you come from comedy or the stand-up, you get used to punching up. So your first one is like however it comes out, and you're like, all right, I get the energy of it now. So this time I'm gonna bring it here, then I'm gonna go there and see how people respond. And then the third time, it's like, all right, I wanna, you know. So you always punching up each take. So sometimes some of us need like a few takes. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, that was perfect. That's exactly what I was gonna say. But also, Destin, you create an environment because I know you're saying like you're a very specific director to say like, don't worry about the time or don't worry about the tape. You're the first director I've ever met that's told me that, and I've done a lot of things. So I'm just like, I think you have to realize that it's case by case. So we're coming in based on our last job, and for you to be the first director that's like, okay, go ahead, do your thing. Was an anomaly to me. So yeah, so thank you.
I am gutted that we're out of time because I could spend the rest of the afternoon on stage talking with you all. Thank you so much for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.